results. We'll go through the different sections, and after that we'll start the exciting awards ceremony. So, Phil, would you care to talk about start pages?
So these are the results for the start page section analysis, and what you can see from the big number, that's actually quite high. So we can say that a lot of corporate websites in Europe 500 are answering our stakeholder group's needs, and what the stakeholders say is pretty much what you'd expect. So I think that's why that number is so high. Is they want to see a link to the latest press release, they want to see a link to the latest financial report and the next calendar event, and most of you guys and most of the websites out there are doing that, and kind of reflecting what I was talking about in my presentation. One of the examples that we're doing there is we're showing that they've got all that information, but they're also introducing the company in quite a visual story type summary fashion on the start page as well.
The next section in the web ranking report is the About Us section, and according to the surveys, the information about geographical spread of productions and sales is important. Fast facts is very important, as well as market share and sector competitors. And these are a few of the things that we're looking into the About Us section on the website. This is quite a bit larger than the start page, and it's all both about the details and about the overview, where we want to see both. The example that we're showing here is from Norwegian DNB. This is a good way of showing their fast facts, even though it's quite a lot, as you can see, but they have good divisions, they have good links into different parts of the website, and they also have a graphic view of the content. And when it comes to the graphic, even though Stefan said that the job seekers are a little bit more picky when it comes to the visual design of the websites, even the capital market finds the supporting visuals important. It's actually as many as 76% who wants to see information such as this supported by graphics or by interactive features, so they don't only want the text itself. And having a look at the results, 39% of the companies in Europe 500, that's the average of the maximum score. It isn't that great, really. And I think that, or we think that most of the content can be found in the annual report. Not saying that you should copy paste, but you have the information, but you need to put it online as well. And it is possible, as you can see, the top 10 companies in Europe managed to do that a lot better.
So a little bit about the press section. Obviously, the press section needs to contain the press releases, but the press section is also a place where we're looking for speeches, we're looking for information about top management, the images, and all of that. In this few examples of that, we have from Aviva. They have a very good presentation of their key people in the organization, and not only the usual content about where they live and what they prioritize and the studies and all of that, but they are also containing the latest speeches where they have presented and what kind of information you can find where they are actually speaking in public about different things. It's not just about corporate presentation or results presentation. It could just as well be information from a trade show or something like that. It's also a very good place to put information such as images to download or upload them to LinkedIn after that or similar. A lot of companies are not doing that very well. All that information is distributed on different pages. I have to go to the calendar of events to find speeches, although the natural place, or one of the natural places, would be to go to the presentation pages of the people that has actually spoken. The speeches is also something that people are looking for quite a lot, the information about what is being said by people that is representing the company. It is information that gives a different view on the different topics that is important for the company. In this case, we have BP. It's hard to read, but the top speech there is Energy Outlook 2035. It is obviously something that will affect their business for a long time, and it's important not only for those interested in energy sector, but also for investors, etc. Making it easy to find that is important. The last example we have here is on a different and more visual way of just listing the press releases. Most people have on the corporate website a very simple listing of press releases. It's easy to find, but we're starting to see more and more use of presentation methodology used by Facebook or similar, using a timeline or similar approach. You have images, you have a clear view on the chronology of things, which makes it more interesting. We look at the score, 35% of maximum score for Europe Top 500. It's not that very impressive. A lot of information for media is missing. And even if we look at the top 10, only 68% of the top score of the that is available in KWD Web Ranking is achieved, which means that there's a lot of information that media is looking for and that you simply don't provide them with. So that could be improved. This one, it is Vattenfall, which is a government-owned, but they have a pretty nice listing methodology. So I use that as an example. It's reporting is one of my favorite topics, as some of you know. It is not only the annual report and the link to the report and the PDF that is important. If we look what the stakeholders say, they want to see the data available on the website, coming back to our discussion about the corporate website versus the report. But the target group says they want to really see it on the website. They want to see the financial tables, be able to download, and they want to see a comprehensive financial calendar, which also includes data and events that are not financial. So when people are speaking on behalf of the company and representing the company, that should be in the calendar as well. This is a large area, it's a large portion of the IR section normally, and it's quite important for us when we look at the stakeholders and what they are asking for. Still, we're only achieving 45% of the content, where Europe Top 10 is actually closer to okay, 76% of the top score. It's a quite ambitious level of information that people are asking for. So that's where we end up in this year.
Onto the share, we distinguish, as people who use web ranking will know, we distinguish the share from the investor relations section, even though normally the information lives in the investor relations section, mainly because our focus group says there's a lot of detail on your share that they want to read about. I think, personally, looking at this, that plenty of that information, although it's missing, as you can see, because 41% is the average Europe 500 score. A lot of that is not too difficult to put in. It's easily accessible. It doesn't, sometimes it can be one or two sentences, literally which markets you're trading on, for example. And it's shown by the average score of the best websites in Europe, according to Web Ranking, which is 86%. And just a couple of examples that we show up there. So there's full detail trading on alternative marketplaces, so not just their main trading market. And then the point which a lot of people fall down upon, an SCA, that is a share graph that's fully responsive. So some people even seen responsive websites that still have old style embedded charts and tools, for example, that won't work. That's an example that will work on any tablet or mobile device. And the related section of investor relations, which has a horrendously low score of 22%. Now, this is partially going back to what Stefan was talking about before, is that's because the demands of the stakeholder group are so high for some of the information that you need to see, and some sectors you might not even be allowed to show it, so that slightly bear that in mind as well. But then again, if you look at the Europe Top 10, it actually scores 75%. And you get a bit of a clue if you look at what they're most popular, what the stakeholders say, key drivers for growth, targets, forward-looking statements, investments and divestments, information on financial targets. And so, you know, I highlighted before in my presentation of how this can be done, but it is a considerable undertaking, obviously.
Governance, also quite close related. In this section, and it doesn't necessarily have to be its own section on the website, it's sort of just the way that we group the content to make it more logical to look for and ask for as well. Information about group management and board of directors is important, of course. There's a lot of information that is expected here. It's not only their picture and title. Sometimes you don't even get their title, but just a picture and name. But we want to know their shareholdings. We want to know their CV. We want to know other types of assignments, board meeting attendance, and so on. And most companies are quite good at this, mainly because this is legislated that they have to do it. It's different in different countries, of course, meaning that some countries are better than others. In general, Finnish companies are quite good at this section, so it might be worth having a look at them. The examples here is the first one is the remuneration policy, not only the policy but also the actual remuneration. It's from Munich Re, the German insurance company. It's quite a long page, as you can see, but they also have some sort of trying to make it a little bit more visually easy to understand through tables. The second one is a really good one, I think. It's Ericsson presenting their group management, where they have film interviews with all of the management team, where they talk about what they think about the future and about their company. So, and every time I go in there and I see this screenshot quite a lot, and I think, yeah, that's good, they have it with the CEO, but then I go to the page and you see that it's a film interview with all of the management team, which is impressive. Again, Europe 500 not doing that great. Europe top 10 is doing quite good, I would say.
CSR, again, a low score for Europe 500 at 31%. And again, you wouldn't be surprised that what the stakeholders want to see is quite a lot of stuff. And environmental data, targets, achievements, anti-corruption initiatives. This is what's changed over the last couple of years. There's a lot of stuff that people want to see on risk and anti-corruption. Code of conduct, ethical policy, obviously, is all there. And it is, in the one sense, just a level of disclosure of how much you're prepared to put into your CSR or sustainability section or whatever you call it. And clearly, Europe top 10 shows it can be done. Even that, I suppose, relatively to some of the other sections is still quite low. But again, it just reflects on the high level of demand. And we show Gazprom here because not only do they do very well on the information, but still they also present it in a nice visual way, I think, as well. So you get all the tables and the charts, but you still get that immediate summary hit of being able to understand their data.
Yeah, and this is also really could be a separate discussion about CSR reporting and CSR websites, but we'll leave that for another time. The career information, this is where most of the job seekers go, of course. It's often the most visited part on a corporate website. I think according to our statistics on the 15 corporate websites that we track, I think it's around 70 to 80% of the visitors to a corporate website that go to the career section. So it's a large group of people. And as we've been touched upon before, a huge number that uses other sources as well, social media, but the corporate website is the most important source for information. And examples of information that's important is job vacancies, of course, which most companies are quite good at showing. But what they do miss out on is compensation and benefits, which is a difficult topic. Deutsche Bank here has a good example on how to present it, or what's possible to present, or how you could possibly try to define your compensation and benefits section. Some work to be done there. Many companies, this is often depending also on how their recruiting is done, if it's done centrally or locally. But again, people tend to go to the corporate website to expect this kind of information, not only to a local website, because they want to know, especially if there are larger companies, what is the group like? Is it the same? What kind of career opportunities are there, perhaps outside my own country?
We also look at some of the functions of the website, and we ask stakeholders what is important. 93% finds a search engine to be important, and I think this is another of my favorite topics. If you try and move around on corporate websites and large websites, the functionality and the efficiency of the search engines are nowhere near Google, actually, which is the benchmark you have. That is what I expect when I go to a search engine. So we look at that and we rate that. We look also we look at what the stakeholders say about a simple functionality that a lot of companies are missing out on: print. People sometimes actually want to print a web page, and you would be surprised of how many websites it's actually not possible to print the web page. So that is part of what we look at. I have a few examples here. For instance, we have the search engine of Swedish Match, which is not only just listing a lot of things, but is actually categorizing it and bringing content from their image bank. The results, when I look for Emmet, who is the senior vice president of investor relations and corporate sustainability, I get a contact card for him, because we know that it's a contact card you probably are looking for as the first one. And you have the images, and then the actual type of search results are coming. Simple thing to help improve the search results. We have used SES quite a few, because it's a quite good website. And there's one thing that I particularly like, and that is when I type CEO, I get two examples I get two pages: the president and CEO Jan Johansson, and the CEO, EVP, and CFO page. I get that even before I go to the search engine. So that is solving my search problem without going to search, which is good. And obviously, the last one is supporting mobile. That's things that we have looked at. Europe scores quite bad in many of these areas. The Europe top 10 is scoring much higher, but still a bit to go. Not the least because when we looked at this, only 11% had mobile functioning websites, which is quite low. So a couple of the few sort of basic functionality that everybody needs on the website. That's what we are scoring at.
Okay. And the final part is not really a separate section that we look at, but it's integrated into the ranking. It's social media and external search. So what I mean by that is that when we, for example, when we rank annual reports, we don't only look at the annual report on the website, but we also look if has it been posted in other social media channels? Is the interim report available elsewhere? Can we find, when searching on Google for a company's financial targets, can we find it? So those kind of things are integrated into the content that we look for. But if we extract that and look into social media and external search separately, it's not really that good. And I think that's also what brings most of the, quite a lot of the score down in the different sections. And as we've seen for the past couple of years, social media is increasing in importance, both for not only for job seekers and young people, but also for the capital market. They're not really the early adopters, but they are. Social media isn't early any longer, so we need to be there. Another thing that's important, that we find important, is how to find or how to know that a company's social media channel is really their own social media channel, because it's so easy to create an account in any social media channel. So we have only ranked the social media channels that a company has listed on their corporate website. So if you have, for example, referred to your Twitter account, then we've looked at it. But if you have one and you haven't got a link to it on your corporate website, then we haven't looked at it, because there might be another one or thousands of other ones in your name. So that is something that might be a tricky piece. But here's an example of a LinkedIn careers page, which we find quite inspirational, even though we heard a lot about LinkedIn before, but another one among the Europe 500 companies. And that was actually the findings from this year's KWD web ranking. In your bags or in the material that you got this morning, you have a little pamphlet, which is a summary of this year's ranking, where you get parts of this and perhaps a little bit more as well. If you're interested in the report, as Staffan showed a little bit of, just get in touch with us and we can show you a demo of it.